Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Patrick Liu, and I'm going to be your host for the Diabetes Survival Guide show. I'm the founder of the Diabetes Management Group, where I am a fitness and wellness coach for people with type 2 diabetes and prediabetes. And this show will be a way to share the phenomenal stories about people with all forms of diabetes, healthcare professionals who work with people with diabetes, health and wellness coaches who work with people in this population, and or caregivers and relatives with people with diabetes across the world. A little bit of a personal background for me as a show starter is I was diagnosed with prediabetes back in 2021 and made some modifications to my lifestyle and habits to successfully reverse it in 2022. However, that onset of me receiving prediabetes in 2021 triggered my memories of when my grandpa, who passed away when I was a sophomore in high school from kidney failure secondary to his type 2 diabetes, about the care that was misunderstood and not the greatest at that time. So I want to provide this show as a way to explore the different spectrums of diabetes and healthcare professionals sharing their tips of what they've seen helpful in working with folks with them, and then some things that weren't as helpful so that y'all can learn something. So thank you so much, and we'll get started with the disclaimers and the show.
Disclaimers. This show is not medical advice or a treatment plan and may contain sensitive and explicit content. It is intended for general education and demonstration purposes only. This content should not be used to self-diagnose or self-treat any health, medical, or physical conditions. Don't use this show to avoid going to your own healthcare professional or to replace the advice they give you. Consult with your healthcare provider before attempting anything you learned in this show. You agreed to identify and hold harmless the creators of this material for any and all losses, injury, or damages resulting from any and all claims that arise from your use or misuse of this show material. The creators and guests of this show make no representations about the accuracy or suitability of this content. Use these materials at your sole risk. Views and opinions are individual to the creators and guests of this show and do not represent any other opinions or entities and are not intended to offend anybody. We hope you enjoyed the show.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Diabetes Survival Guide Show. Today, I am joined by the wonderful, the amazing, the lovely Dr. Talonda Bryant. She is someone who I find very special in letting people know that if you have a busy life, no matter what that is, whether that is being a mom who is taking care of their kiddos, running an awesome business, or crushing it at their current job, you got to make time for yourself. Because if you don't make time for yourself, everything else just starts to crumble down and you're not able to maintain your super mom status. And I'm super grateful to have Talonda here today to share more about her story, her journey, and how she's worked with plenty of clients who feel like their business should come first, when in reality, no, let's take a step back and actually focus on you so that you can be the best you that you can be to help the people that are in your life and crush it at the jobs, the businesses, everything that you're involved in. So without further ado, Talonda, thank you so much for joining us, and feel free to share more about yourself or the things that I didn't share yet.
Thank you so much for that sweet introduction, Patrick. That was very nice. So I'm excited to be here, and I'm so honored that you asked me to be interviewed on your podcast. I'm so happy to give my insight and to help your listeners. Like you said, my name is Dr. Talonda Bryant. I am a doctor of physical therapy and a women's health and wellness coach. And I became inspired to serve women who are crushing it in business, in their families, and within their communities when I became burnt out as a PT when I first started in the corporate physical therapy world. And when I was able to escape from that environment and that lifestyle of constant burnout, I knew that I had to serve other women who experienced the same thing, essentially.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So a bit of a personal story for you wanting to provide better services for other people, which is amazing. And for those who are asking, why does Patrick have Talonda here today. I'll share a little bit of an insight for a quick story time before I ask her some more questions. When I was working at one of my clinical rotations at an outpatient physical therapy facility, there were many successful women who were crushing it at their business who came into the clinic because they came in with neck pain, shoulder pain, and the whole slew of other sorts of nagging issues that prevented them from working. And additionally, those women also tend to have prediabetes or type 2 diabetes because they were so invested into their job. They were so invested into taking care of their kiddos, their loved ones, their husbands, that they felt a lot of stress. And stress could be one of the factors that causes someone to develop prediabetes or type 2 diabetes in the future. And the reason why I wanted to bring Talonda here as well is see if we could do a prevention situation where it doesn't have to get worse. And of course, I know we're doing our best to become safe and well. And for those who need that extra little bit of support, or that, oh, I didn't know that I hit these check boxes of doing great at one aspect of my life, but the health aspect I could work on, that's why we're here today. So without further ado, I want to ask you this question, Wanda. What inspired you to really work with the successful women that are out there? I know you mentioned your own personal story and experience of working in the clinic. Could you paint more of that picture and elaborate further?
Yes, definitely. So when I first started my PT position, I was extremely excited because I had worked for so long to finally get to that point in my life. So I was happy. I was really enthused to make an impact and help patients. And it wasn't until I actually started working that I became burnt out day in and day out, treating like up to 15 patients a day and taking patient notes to finish with me back home. And I didn't have time for myself and the things that I was passionate about eventually. So it was like my initial spark and interest and excitement in starting in the profession, it started to diminish because I was constantly working and not really feeling fulfilled because I was so burnt out and exhausted.
Mm-hmm. Ah, that must have been crazy with the transition of starting a job that you were super excited about, ready to help people, to then, oh goodness, it was a lot more than I thought it was. And now we got to make some changes. And with that being said, I'm sure other people who are out there are wondering, okay, I'm super busy. I don't have enough time to take care of myself. What does a typical session look like when you work with your clients so that they can paint the picture and understand more of a how can we fit this into our lives instead of a I don't have time for any of that stuff?
Yep, that's a good question. So, a typical session looks like me providing solutions to the obstacles that my clients frequently have when trying to create time for their schedules to do fitness, healthy eating, traveling, and spending more time with their family and friends. They want to do these things, but they just feel like there's no possible way that I can achieve a healthy balance when trying to do all of what I'm doing. So I talk to them about providing solutions to the obstacles and roadblocks that they frequently have. And I help them with creating consistency in their schedule and carving out intentional time for self-care and health-based activities. And then I've just really enforced that they should be doing something daily. And it doesn't have to be for hours at a time, even 15, 30 minutes or 45 minutes even, just immersing yourself in something that is all about you and making you feel rejuvenated to take care of the rest of your demands. And at the end of each session, I do provide the opportunity for clients to ask additional questions, but I just love empowering them with different tips and strategies that they can realistically integrate within their busy lifestyles.
Ooh, I love that. Oh, I got chills hearing that. Talonda is a problem solver in the matter of she helps you figure out what you can do so that you can feel rejuvenated again. So you feel like you're 10 years younger. I know it's crazy. However, when we take that little steps, whether it's the small 15 minutes a day that Talonda was talking about and building that up, all of a sudden our shoulders feel a bit lighter, our neck feels a bit looser, and the back pain that's nagging us whenever we're sitting for long periods of time goes away, or it's not as bad. And that's always amazing to hear that someone is there to figure out how can we fit the needs of what you want to do into your schedule instead of adding more things to someone's plate, right?
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm sure there's some people who are saying, okay, I like how this sounds, but I'm not convinced yet. I'm not bought into it yet. So Talonda, how would you go about busting the misconceptions that busy women face when it comes to investing into their health?
Yeah, that's another good question. I would tell them that your health is the most important thing that you have. And without good health, you won't be able to take care of your family, work, and do some of the other things that you're passionate about. And your health should always be a top priority because you can't truly pour into anyone else or anything else unless you're fully healthy and doing well in every aspect of your wellness, whether that's like emotional health, your spiritual well-being, all aspects should be addressed on the regular so that you are healthy to actually live and take care of your family and do the things that you want to do in the community.
The things that I loved when you said that was talking about the spiritual health and the emotional health. And I feel plenty of people, they think so much about, I got to get my physical health done. Let me get my pedicure done. Let me get the facial done. Let me go on a vacation or some sort of retreat to relax my physical body. But they don't talk about the emotional and spiritual health as much. So, Talonda, a fireball question, just a quick one. What are some quick tips that you would recommend someone to improve their spiritual health and emotional health if they aren't quite sure how to improve that, since that's not talked about as much?
That's good. That's a really good question. I would say to improve your spiritual health, I would seek out maybe going to a church of some sort, or if you don't feel comfortable going to a church, maybe just going on YouTube and finding different ministries or different things that address your soul, your spirit man, because we all have a spirit. And if you're not in touch with whatever you believe, whether that's God or another being, you're not going to really feel like you have a fulfillment going from day to day. It's like, what is this all about? What is life going to be right now in the next 5 to 10 years? It just gives you a sense of enlightenment and encouragement to move yourself forward in a positive direction and just feeding your spirit, your soul. And then for your emotional health, I would say you could start out by maybe taking some sort of assessment online. They have those free questions and quizzes where you could assess your emotional IQ, for example. You can Google that and you'll have tons of options that'll pop up. And then from there, it'll tell you about a certain aspect of your emotional self that might be lacking, or something may have happened in your childhood that is now playing a part in your adulthood with your emotions. Maybe you're angry because of something that happened 15 years ago and it's manifesting in your day to day. And maybe you need to talk to a mental health counselor or a psychiatrist. And I feel like that's like a taboo topic. A lot of people think that if you go and talk to someone professionally, that you're crazy or something's wrong with you, but it's totally normal to have to seek out extra help when addressing some of the trauma or emotions that you may have carried for decades, or even something could happen now and you're just hiding it and it's a secret, and it can end up just killing everything with your ambition, your drive, your ability to wake up in the morning. I would say that is something that should really help, just assessing your emotional health. Talking to trusted family and friends is something that's really big too, because you never want to keep everything bottled in, because that's also going to manifest in anger, and you're just going to be a disgruntled person and no one wants to be around that. So I would start there.
Mm-hmm. Very great tips. I'm sure those who are watching this, those who are listening to this, those who can feel that message, important to take care of yourself and assess where you're at, because by being able to figure out where you're at, that also shows how much you can grow and move forward with it. So if it's taking that small, quick health assessment for your mental health, that can help out with figuring out, hey, do I have some baggage that I've been holding on to that's I've been carrying for so many years, or is it something a bit more mild and tame? And figuring out some strategies on how to really accept it and embrace it to then let it go and let it run its course and then feel lighter and newer and more aware and present in the moment, which is great. And then for those who may not believe in God or any other higher beings, sometimes that spiritual health can involve going out into nature and really embracing the scenery that is out there. And it can come in many forms because I have a friend who she loves to go skiing and she's not necessarily religious. She considers herself more spiritual. And for her to go skiing and surround herself with the different trees, the forest, and the snow, she realizes how big the natural environment is. And it makes her feel humbled and excited to be where she's at. And she feels connected to the earth with those moments and experiences. So there's different ways to figure out how you can pour into those different buckets. And it just makes it even more exciting that there's so many different tips and tools to navigate it and work through it. So it's going to be awesome. All right.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast. And before we continue with the rest of this show, I wanted to let y'all know, please feel free to give this podcast a 5-star rating if you like it, share it with other folks that you think it'd be beneficial for. And if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe and follow to the Diabetes Management Group for awesome tips to manage your type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. And let's get back to the show.
Now, the next question that I have for you, Talonda, is what would you say has been the hardest moment that you faced since starting your business and working with Busy Moving? And what did you learn from each of those experiences?
Yeah. So I would say the hardest moment that I've faced since starting my business is just gaining consistent clients and serving more people. And I know that there's a need for the type of services that I offer. However, I feel like there is a misconception that investing more time into yourself is taking away from other vital areas of your life, like your family and your career. When in actuality, it's not. It's a wise decision to invest in yourself to increase your longevity and your overall life purpose and satisfaction. And it also is going to play a part into your health. So when you invest more time into yourself and your time management, it manifests in you having the energy from day to take on those big tasks and projects that you ultimately want. And I would say that I learned to continue to be diligent in providing value to busy career women and just help them with transforming their mindsets and shifting it so that they will in turn have more time freedom to do the things that they love. And it'll also allow me to gain more consistency in serving them to the fullest and highest degree.
Awesome. It's the small little steps that we can take. It's a repeated theme here and out, here in and here out.
Yes.
And then pivoting from that, what would you say has been the best moment that you've had since you started working with clients, and what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, I would say the best moment so far since working with clients is seeing the light bulb go off in their heads when they're actually in the process of shifting their mindset about specific habits and routines that they've had for years. And they're discovering that it's not going to work for them or why it's not working for them. And I would say it's extremely rewarding to see them in real time with coming to these conclusions and transforming their minds and their lives. And I just learned that there are so many other women out there that struggle with this and that they would benefit from this type of service to transform every aspect of themselves in their lives, which will also maximize their relationships and their friendships from day to day.
Mm-hmm. It's like going from the hard moments of feeling like crap, everything is happening all at once. I can't control where I'm currently at, to then, no, let's take a step back. Let's actually invest into myself a bit. So it's very similar to having a very messy room. Walk into
Oh,
that
yeah.
messy room. Oh my gosh, everything's all over the place. I just need this one thing. I have to try and fiddle around, throw some things off to the side to try and figure out where this one thing that I need is. And I'm not sure where that is. To taking a step back and thinking, you know what? What if I organized my room? Let's take some time to actually fold the laundry, put it in the bin, and organize it into the closet, figure out where my books are at so that I could reposition them and put them on my bookshelf to make sure that's doing okay. Tidy up my desk that's over there and really organizing it to the point where it looks clean, it looks fresh, and who knows, as you're shifting and moving some of those clothes around from that messy room, you find what you're exactly looking for. And it took significantly less time to get organized, to actually get what you want and find what you want, while also having the benefit of things being more cleaner and easier to access as we go through. That's what it's like to invest into our health, wouldn't you say, Talonda?
I would agree. Yes.
And everyone loves it when they walk into the room and it looks clean and it looks fresh.
Yes. It feels good.
Everything else becomes a lot easier too, which is great. All
Yes.
right, Talonda. So I'm sure our audience is wondering, she shared so many pieces of advice with us. We're on the verge of wanting to invest into ourselves, but we don't have the time right now quite yet. But what would be one piece of advice that you would share for busy, successful women who are concerned about investing to their health because they don't think they would have enough time, not even the 15 minutes or anything like that, but they don't think it would be helpful? What tips would you give for them?
Yes,
We're
I would
talking about the
say
Scroogey ones. 1 minute is too much time for me. Let's see how we can help them out. We're trying to hit everybody here.
Yeah. Okay. So I would say that the key to having more time for your health is to create more time for self-care through outsourcing and delegating tasks to others to get more time in your schedule. And that would look like maybe outsourcing household cleaning every 2 weeks or monthly, maybe have a laundry pickup service so that you're not overwhelmed with your laundry from day to day. Or if you have kids, having a caregiver or a trusted family friend to take care and watch them for a few hours while you go out and work out, or you just go shopping, something that is for you. And then I would also say, even with work projects, delegating something to an assistant. You could hire someone on Fiverr for 5 hours a week to work on a website for you or a task that you need done in your business. You can always find someone that can do it and do it well. And this is their niche so that they're able to do it efficiently and you get more time back as well. So that is the key to having more time in your schedule.
Delegation, let's go. Get those kids
Yeah.
working. I'm just kidding for those household chores, but not really. They could use a little bit more movement. That is so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing those tips. And I really love how you mentioned hiring professional services where their niche is doing the things that you want them to do, like website design. I'm sure most people, they can make a website, but is it going to look as pretty as they want it to be versus having someone who's done it for so many years of their life to develop the website for you, and all you say is, I'm looking for this thing and this thing, and you show them a drawing of what it looks like? I have a feeling they're going to make something significantly quicker, saving you a lot more time and getting the work that you want to get done. So
Yes.
delegation is key, and it comes in many forms.
It does.
All right. We are getting close to the end of this, and I love to ask this question for all of the guests who come on here. So, Talonda, what is your zombie apocalypse survival plan?
I love this one. It's so funny to think about. I would say I hope that I have my husband with me if there's ever a zombie apocalypse. because I don't know how to shoot. I've never been to a gun range. I would just say I hope that I have my husband to defend us and help us to stay away from the zombies. And I could envision us having a secret underground house with unlimited supply of food, internet, water, and armory to protect us.
A super fortress.
Yes.
Awesome. That sounds like a great time. Making sure that the hubby helps out.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. We would also have knives too.
Yeah, because in case if they get to the point where they're so close, we have to have something else to
Yep.
protect us. Close range and long
Mhm.
range.
Yes.
All right. Now, I love to ask this question as well. Talonda, what is one question that you wish I would have asked during this interview?
I like that. I would say, what are some ideas for self-care that they could implement on a tight schedule within the 15 minutes or even 10 minutes? That would
Mm,
be a good question that could have been asked.
awesome. Do you want to answer your own question?
Yes, I will say journaling, meditating, or listening to a guided meditation is really helpful, especially in the mornings. Maybe going out in nature, like you suggested, taking a walk, going to the beach. And it doesn't, these are things that don't cost a fortune. It's something that you can do that just is all about your mindset and just starting your day off to the best that you can. And I would also say working out, and it doesn't have to be going to the gym. It could be going for a run or to a yoga class, just something that is all about you and what you love to help you to feel refueled for the rest of your activities for the day.
Filling up those cups so that you can pour into
Yeah,
other cups.
exactly.
Mhm. All right, Talana, it has been an absolute honor having you on the show. I know our audience members who are tuning in, whether they are watching this, listening to this, and feeling the messages that you've been sharing, they are very eager to say, how can we get in touch with Talanda? She is an amazing person. I want to hear more tips from her. And Talanda's also working on a new book, and that book launch is going to be coming pretty soon. So she's going to give a lot more value for everybody out here. And I know you want to stay tuned for when that gets updated. So how can they find you, Talanda?
Yeah, so you all can find me on Instagram at Your Lady. I'm also on Facebook at The Lady Well Consulting and online at www.yourladywell.com, which is currently under construction. So be on the lookout if you do visit it for the new website. And then finally, my email is drtalonda@yourladywell.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Talanda, for coming through. And again, everyone, all it takes is one simple action to start taking care of yourself and building up that skill. If that's taking one more step each day, if that is going to bed an extra minute early, if that is taking a quick, deep breath, something to help yourself out. That's all it needs. That's all it needs to take. Get that small spark started, and eventually it can kindle up to a larger flame to help with keeping the ship going.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all so much. Have a good one.